Hi everyone and welcome to week 12. We've reached a really important milestone in this course. So by now you've designed your surveys, you've collected your data, you're getting close to the moment where all of that work becomes a polished professional research paper. And this week is all about reporting statistics. And this is genuinely one of the most important skills you'll develop as a researcher. So let's talk about what's ahead and why it matters. So think about where you are right now. You've completed your literature review, you've written your methods section explaining exactly what you did, and you've collected real data from real participants. But here's the thing, none of that matters if you can't communicate what you actually found. So that's what the the results section does. It's the heart of your paper. It's where you answer the research questions that you posed at the beginning. So in the next 2 weeks, you're going to take your raw data and transform it into a polished professional results section that follows the conventions of academic research, okay? And that starts this week. So this week, we're diving into how to report statistics properly, okay? So I've got the week 12 module open here. I'm making this video right now, so it will be up momentarily. Okay, so you're going to learn the difference between qualitative and quantitative data, and we're doing quantitative in this class. But more importantly, you're going to see some real examples of how to present your statistical findings in the exact format that researchers expect. So we'll look at different types of statistical tests, t-tests, ANOVAs, correlations, chi-square tests. I've got examples of all of these, and you'll see exactly how to write them up so that another researcher reading your paper can understand what you did and what you found. So this isn't just about like plugging numbers into a template. It's really about learning the language that scientists use to communicate with each other. So you have two related but distinct tasks for this week, and they work together to prepare you for finishing your final paper. So assignment 1, this is your progress check, okay? So that's due at the end of this week. So here's what's happening. You've probably been organizing your survey data in Excel or Google Sheets, okay? That's what you need to be doing. That's great for data collection. But to analyze it properly, to run statistical tests, you need to move it into SPSS. SPSS is, the statistical software we've been using that will do all of the heavy computational lifting for you. So copy your data from Excel or Google Sheets and paste it into SPSS. Once it's there, you'll go into something called variable view. This is important. You need to tell SPSS what each of your variables is. So if you have a column that says age, you need to label it clearly and tell SPSS whether it's a numeric value, categorical variable, whatever applies. You also need to assign a measure to each variable. So this tells SPSS how to treat the data statistically. And I do have a demo for this, okay? So this step might seem tedious, but it's crucial. If you don't set up your variables correctly in SPSS, your statistical analyses won't be accurate. And remember, your entire results section is going to be built on these analyses. So getting this right now will save you massive headaches later. And like I said, I've included a complete demo video that walks you through this process step by step. Watch it before you start. Seriously, it will save you so much time and confusion. You'll see exactly where to click, what to type, how to troubleshoot common problems, how to kind of get ahead in your results section so you can start working on that. Don't skip this video, okay? So once you've set everything up, export your data as a .sav file and submit it here. So SAV, not SPV, okay? I want the data set to see that you've transferred it over. And in the video, I do talk about different statistical testings. That's not required to turn in here. That's for your results section. That's what you're going to be doing next, okay? So the results section... Okay, let me open that up. Okay, I do have a big old wordy, instructions here that will walk you through everything. I'll make a separate video about this because, again, it's not really due until the end of next week. So I'm going to talk in more detail about all of this. But, you've got a lot of information to work with here. So I'm assigning this to you 1 week early because I want you to start thinking about it and working on it now. So the results section is one of the most important parts of your final paper, and you do need time to do it correctly. So your results section needs to be about 1 page of text, so you can go up to 2 pages. In that text, you're going to describe your sample and any data that you excluded, if somebody didn't fill out the survey correctly. Or maybe you're not using minors, and I know a lot of teenagers took the surveys because I gave it to a high school age college class that I teach. So maybe you don't want to include minors. You need to explain how you organize your data into groups or categories. You need to report the descriptive statistics, the means, the standard deviations for your variable. You need to then present the results of your statistical tests in the proper format. So then you're going to include 1 to 3 figures that visually represent your data. These are graphs or charts that you'll make in Excel and paste into your document. Each figure gets a clear legend underneath explaining what the reader's looking at. No titles on the figures, no cluttered SPSS tables, just clean professional visuals, APA style that makes your data easy to understand. Okay, so why is this important? The results section is where you're making your scientific argument. You're not explaining why your results came out the way they did. That comes later in the discussion section. You're just presenting the facts. Here's what the data shows. Here's what my statistical tests revealed. The results section is factual, it's objective, it's professional. So I've included several resources to help you. So there's some complete examples of how to report different statistics, real examples of how to write up a t-test result, an ANOVA result, a correlation, a chi-square test. These show you the exact format and phrasing you should use. So let me show you those. Okay, go back to the modules. So you've got, all of these examples here. Okay, so you can see how to write up that kind of test. Okay, it's nothing crazy. Okay, but it shows you, the sorts of things that you need to include, the p-value and the sample number, the sample size, things like that. The phrasing is important too. Okay, so I've also given you a fully completed results section. Okay, this is a real results section from a student study on childhood experiences and depression. Read through this carefully. Notice how it's organized, how the statistics are reported, how the figures are integrated into the text. And that, I believe, is that in the instructions here? Results, figures, some examples of the figures, the statistics that you should be presenting. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is an actual student results section. So it shows you how to put this all together. Okay. It shows you what's expected. Again, it's nothing crazy, but it is going to take some work because you have to run the tests. I guess I'm just talking about the results section here, so I won't make a separate video because I'm just going to talk about it all here. But, you got to give all the information, the mean, the standard deviation, the sample size, things like that. Explain what you tested. But before you can start writing this, you're going to need to spend a lot of time playing with your different variables, the responses to the questions that you asked, combining things, seeing if there's correlations, doing all of these different tests that I show you in the demo video. And you need to find out if things are significant or not and interpret it. What does that mean? And, start thinking about this stuff. That's why I'm giving this to you 2 weeks in advance, because you need to start thinking about how are you putting it together, what tests are you going to run, what variables are you going to combine to see if there's a relationship, and so on. Okay, so read through this and you'll see the different tests that the student did and the different things that they included. If you write something like this, it's an A paper. Okay, so I've given you very specific formatting requirements as well. Double space, Times New Roman or Arial, although Times New Roman's usually the best. 1-inch margins, 10 or 12 point font, usually 12 point. These are, the standard conventions in academic research. Following them shows that you understand professional research writing. Okay, so again, read that results section, read through it carefully. Notice how it's organized, how the statistics are reported, how the figures are integrated into the text, how the writing is clear and straightforward. That is your template. This is your template for writing a good research section. So keep a few things in mind. Your figures should tell the story of your study. Someone should be able to look at your figures and understand what you studied and what you found. All statistics need to be reported in the proper format. Don't just write the result was significant. Write out the test, the degrees of freedom, the test statistic, the p-value in the format I've shown you. Each figure needs a clear and descriptive legend that it should explain what the figure shows without requiring the reader to go back to the text. Okay, your writing should be clear and concise, scientific writing. You're not trying to impress anyone with fancy language, just communicate the facts clearly. And don't include the raw SPSS output tables. We don't want to see all those numbers from the statistical software. We want to see your clean, polished figures and your written summary of what those numbers mean. Okay, so here's the bigger picture. Here's how this all fits together. You're writing a comprehensive research paper. Your introduction laid out the research questions. Your method explained exactly what you did. Your results section will answer the question, what did I find? So every choice you make in your results section matters. If your figures are unclear, readers won't understand your findings. If your statistics are reported incorrectly, you'll lose credibility. If your writing is vague, even good results are going to seem unimpressive, and then you won't end up getting published. Not that you're going to try to get published, but that's the point of this class, is to understand how to write a publishable research paper for a journal. But if you do this right, if you take the time to set up your data correctly in SPSS, if you create clear figures, if you report your statistics in the proper professional format, your results section is going to be strong. It will communicate your findings. It'll communicate it clearly, with clarity, with confidence. Okay. So my recommendations for you of how to approach this over the next 2 weeks. So this week, by the end of this week, make sure you've watched the SPSS demo video, get your data into SPSS, properly label all your variables, and then of course submit your .save file, your .sav file for Progress Check 6. And then starting this week and continuing into next week, read the instructions for the results section carefully, study the example results section that I've provided, look at the examples of how to report different statistics, start thinking about what your figures should look like, start thinking about what variables you want to include, start running some tests and just see what the results are. Just start understanding what results you got for your survey, okay? And then begin drafting your results section. Don't wait until the last minute, okay? It's a pretty complicated assignment. So by the end of next week, you're going to have finished writing your results section. Create the figures for the results in Excel or SPSS. I suggest SPSS. Integrate them into your document, proofread, obviously, do all that good stuff, and then submit your final results section, okay? So what you're learning this week, how to report statistics, how to create professional figures, how to write a results section. These are the skills that will serve you throughout your academic career if you go into anything that's research-based, which is not just psychology. There's a lot of jobs you wouldn't even think you're going to need these skills, okay? Whether you go to graduate school, you're working in research, or using them in some other way, being able to communicate findings clearly, professionally, it's going to be an invaluable skill for you. Okay, and it's going to make you more hireable. So your final paper is almost here. You've done the hard work of designing your study, collecting your data. Now it's time to tell the world what you found. And, this one thing to note, this is not the discussion section. So you're not going to be interpreting the results. You're simply presenting them. This is what I found. In the discussion section, which we'll do in a few weeks, that's where we look at what does it mean. Okay, so don't worry about what it means yet, although you can think about that, but you're not going to be writing about it yet. Okay, so if you have questions about SPSS, about how to report a particular statistic, about creating your figures or anything else, reach out, message me on Canvas. If I don't respond, text me, use whatever works. Don't struggle in silence, okay? This is a big assignment, and I want to see you succeed, and so don't be afraid to contact me, even if you have to contact me multiple times, okay? I'm fairly good at getting back to people, but sometimes, teachers have lives too, and crap happens. And so if you need me, please message me more than once. It does not bother me at all. Okay. I don't get annoyed very easily. So again, here's what I want you to do this week. Watch the demo, get your data transferred over, start playing around and experimenting with different tests, start reading through the results, instructions, and examples. Okay. So good luck, and I'll see you next week.